Hello and very welcome everyone to this session of Medieval History Part 1. In today's session, we are going to discuss that chapter of history in which a lot of invaders came into our country. We will see what went wrong, that the invaders were able to enter into our territory and were able to defeat the kings, the particular king who are ruling in our country, and a kind of a Muslim expansion happened at that time. So we will start with the introduction. We will see some regional rulers of that time. So let's start without wasting any time. And before we start, the images, text, and other materials used in our presentations are for educational purpose only. We respect the intellectual property rights of the original creators and owners. If you are the owner and have any concerns or issues, please contact us at sathi@iitk.ac.in and we shall remove the same. So we are going to discuss the early medieval kingdoms. So let's start. So the early medieval period of Indian history is defined as the time between 750 AD to 1200 AD. Due to frequent conflicts between regional states, it was previously referred to as the Dark Age of Indian history. So let me tell you a bit about it. So basically what happened was that around 650 AD, Harshvardhan, to be specific, 647 AD, Harshvardhan died, and Vardhan dynasty was perished. And after that, three different kingdoms started particularly controlling three different areas. Basically, if we talk about that, so one was Gurjar Pratihar in the west, Palas in the east, and in the Deccan and southern side and southern western side, it was Rashtrakutas. And all these particular states, they want to control the Kannauj. Why Kannauj? Because Kannauj was the capital of Harshvardhan, and there is also a geographical significance of Kannauj, as Kannauj, particularly lies in the Doab region, and that is why it is a cultivating area. Other than that, it is equidistant from the Gujarat side and Bengal side, so it will be helpful in trade through seas. And apart from that, it is also equidistant from the Silk Route. So you can clearly see that this was the particular type of a conjunction where all the three kingdoms are so much interested that they wanted to capture it particularly. So after the death of Harshvardhan, all the kingdoms that are living in these regions, they only want one thing, that they want to control these areas. And for that purpose, they basically fighting between each other. And other than them also, all the other small kingdoms are also doing the same. They are so much indulged in their own conflicts that they forget that if someone can enter into their home from outside. So that is why from 750 to 1200, it was previously called a dark age of Indian history. Now, according to recent research, even though India was politically split, it had exceptional progress in the fields of art, literature, and language. But at that time also, there were a lot of developments going on in the field of art, literature, and language. And today, the type of languages that we see today, most of them were formed at that particular time. So, though it was a particular time of a conflict, but a lot of things are happening in productive way as well. So during this period, Kannauj became more significant and Patliputra lost its importance as a sign of the sovereignty of India. There was total decentralization, which resulted in Indian feudalism. The development of various regional powers waging continual conflicts against one another weakened India's political cohesiveness. So, as I was saying, as I told you earlier also, that Kannauj became more significant in those days, and it is important as a sign of sovereignty. So basically, the particular kingdoms are in conflict with each other for controlling these areas, especially the Kannauj. And why Kannauj was important, I already told you. The political development of this period is mainly divided into two phases. So let's read further and we will get to know about the two phases and other developments of that time. So first phase, 750 AD to 1000 AD. So it saw the development of three major political forces in India: the Gurjar Pratihars, North India, or you can say the western side and North India, the Palas in the eastern India, and Rashtrakutas, as I was saying, in the South India or in the southwestern region. So these are the three kingdoms. Do remember that Gurjar Pratihar in the northwestern region, not completely in the north, but northwestern region. The second phase was from 1080 to 1200 AD, and now let's read about it. It witnessed breakup of these powers. Basically, you can understand it like this: that earlier they were all strong, and they have lot of strong rulers as well at that time. But as the time passes, they were in conflict for more than 200 years. Okay, now they are particularly getting exhausted, and particularly if we talk about them, so they are now also getting a lot of expenditure in these conflicts, and because of which their treasures are now kind of empty. So particularly after 1000 AD, they started perishing and vanishing from the Indian subcontinent. And that is why, as now they became weak rulers, so the particular kingdoms like Gajni, Gohri, now they got a chance to enter into the subcontinent or the Indian territory. That is why you will see that in 1100 AD, the Mahmud Ghazni will enter into the continent and will attack India number of times and looted and vanished and perished lot of temples of our country at that time. So I hope this point is also very clear to all of you. You can see in this photo as well that Gurjar Pratihars, Palas and Rashtrakutas, how they are particularly controlling. Now, the tripartite struggle, very important guys. This is a important struggle and famously known as a tripartite struggle. It is a kind of a struggle between three kingdoms, as I was saying, the Gurjar Pratihars, the Rashtrakutas and the Palas. And this struggle is for one place only, that is Kannauj. So tripartite struggle was an armed conflict between Palas of East, Gurjar Pratihars of North, and Rashtrakutas of South India. These powers were fighting with each other to set up their control on the Gangetic region in northern India. The main objective of the conflict was to possess the Kannauj city, then a symbol of sovereignty. So as I was telling you earlier also, so basically the objective was to control the Kannauj. And why Kannauj? I already gave you two particular reasons. One is that the cultivating area it is a Doab region. Then it is equidistant from Gujarat side and Bengal side. Then it is also equidistant from the Silk Route. And that is why it becomes a very important place in terms of getting revenue and all the other things. And also it is a kind of a egoist thing at that time, that all the three kingdoms are so much equal and powerful that they want to show their dominance in the subcontinent. So first one was Gurjar Pratihar Empire, and let's talk about them. They were mainly residing in the Western India, as I was saying, or you can say Northwestern India. Their time period was from 730 to 1036 AD. So Pratihars are known as Gurjara and Gurjar Pratihars, as they originated from Gurjars who were primarily pastoralists and fighters. So let me tell you a bit about it now. So Pratihar, first of all, Pratihar means a kind of a person who guards something. Okay, so this word originates from this particular meaning, that they guard something. And Gurjara basically represents the region, that is the area of Gujarat and Rajasthan. So basically the meaning of this particular word is the protector of, or the savior of these regions. And if we talk about them, so primarily their occupation was pastoralists, means they particularly work with domestic animals and particularly pasturing them. So that was the basic occupation of these particular people, or this particular kingdom. And also, as well as, they were good fighters and one of the best fighters, I would say, because of them only Muhammad bin Qasim was not able to enter into the Indian subcontinent, as he was on the verge of entering into the Indian subcontinent in 712. But you will never read anywhere that he would have entered into India and he had reached the central region like Kannauj or something. He remained in Sindh and Multan only. Dynasty was founded by Hari Chandra in and around Jodhpur, southwestern Rajasthan. So do remember this thing that this dynasty was founded by Hari Chandra. Pratihar were instrumental in containing Arab armies moving east of the Indus River. So this is particularly the thing that I was telling you also, that Pratihars were particularly the people because of whom the Arab armies were moving east of the Indus River and they were not able to enter the subcontinent. So that was all about it. Let's read further. Now, what happened later on? So Gurjar Pratihar are known for their sculptures, carved panels, and open pavilion style temples. The greatest development of their style of temple building was at Khajuraho, now a UNESCO World Heritage Site. So Khajuraho, famous temples of Khajuraho that you can find in the Madhya Pradesh region in today's world, and the particular type of sculptures that they carved out, or the particular type of temples that they created, were open pavilion style temples that they created, and that is one of the type of the styles that you will find in these particular regions that were controlled by Gurjar Pratihar. Sanskrit poet and dramatist Raja Shekhara lived in the court of Mahipal, a grandson of Mihir Bhoj. So Mihir Bhoj is one of the most famous king of Gurjar Pratihar, and there were two kings of this name. One was Bhoj and one was Mihir Bhoj. I hope you must have heard this phrase, "Kahan Raja Bhoj, kahan Gangu Teli." So this phrase is not for Mihir Bhoj. Let me clear it for you. So this phrase is used for a king, King Bhoj, Bhoja king of Madhya Pradesh area. And Mihir Bhoj is a different person. He was a king of Gurjar Pratihar. So sometimes they will ask you a direct question that Mihir Bhoj was the king of which dynasty? So that was Gurjar Pratihar. Remember that. And to differentiate both of them, that is why they particularly put Mihir in front of this king. That is why he is known as the famous Mihir Bhoj. And basically, there was a grandson of him who was Mahipal, and in his court there was a poet and dramatist who was Raj Shekhara. Foreign traveler Al-Masudi had visited Pratihar Empire during that time. So do remember this also. Let's read further some important rulers. So if we talk about some important rulers, so first one, that is Nagbhat from Nagbhat 1 730 to 760 AD. The most notable Pratihar monarch were noted for containing Arab forces which were defeated by Rashtrakuta king Dhruva. So if we talk about him, so as you can see also that he was able to control the Arab forces that were trying to enter into the Indian subcontinent at that time. So that particularly honor goes to Nagbhat I, but he was defeated by the king Dhruva of Rashtrakutas. As I was already telling you, that there was a conflict happening between Rashtrakutas, Pratihars and Palas. Then come Vatsraj. Vatsraj was from 780 to 800, and he was during his times a lot of things happened, like made Kannauj in western UP as his capital. So for some time he got the control of Kannauj and he made it his capital. Expansionist strategy drove him into confrontation with Dharampal, the Pala monarch, and Rashtrakuta ruler Dhruv, kicking off the tripartite struggle that lasted around 350 years. So this was the time when this particular struggle was you can say was started and remained on its peak during the time for 350 years. And because of his expansionist strategy, the Dharampal, the Pala monarch, and Dhruva, the Rashtrakuta ruler, were also on the other side to struggle against him. Vatsraj defeated the Pala ruler Dharampal and Danti Durg, the Rashtrakuta king, for control of Kannauj. So basically Vatsraj was an important king of Gurjar Pratihar, as he was able to defeat both the Palas and the other one, that was Rashtrakutas. Then Nagbhat II, 805 to 833. So he took Kannauj and the Indo-Gangetic plain as far as Bihar from the Palas and checked the Muslim in the west once again. He reconstructed the Shiva temple at Somnath, Gujarat, that had been destroyed by an Arab assault from Sindh. So this happened basically during the time of Nagbhat II from 805 to 833, and he took the Kannauj and the Indo-Gangetic plain as far as Bihar from the Palas. Then comes the Bhoj one, or famously known as Mihir Bhoj, 836 to 885. Always remember that he was the greatest ruler of Pratihars, got victories over Palas and Rashtrakutas, capital at Kannauj, which also known as Mahodaya, and devotee of Vishnu, adopted the title Adi Varaha. And do remember one point here that Mihir Bhoj was the one king who controlled the Kannauj for the maximum period of time. So that is also another significant thing important with the Mihir Bhoj in the Gujarat Pratihar dynasty. So do remember his name as well, and his time period was from 836 to 885 AD. Then the Palas of Bengal. Let's read about them, guys. 750 to 1150 AD. So in 750 AD, Gopala founded the Pala dynasty. Remember that. Capital was Mudagiri and Munger, Bihar. So how this dynasty was founded? So basically after the death of Vardhan dynasty, in the Bengal region and Bihar region, basically, the lot of different type of attacks were happening from all the different regions, either from Assam side, from western side, from southern side. So Gopal was a kind of a leader who came out during this time, and he was the one who protected this area from any kind of attack. And when he controlled and when he protected his people in this area, so he later became one of the leader and later became the king. And that is how he started this dynasty called the Pala dynasty. So in 750 AD, Gopala became the king and his capital was Mudagiri, or also known as Munger in Bihar. I hope you remember that Munger was also the capital that was transferred by Mir Qasim from Murshidabad when he became the Nawab during the time of British Empire in India. Pala kingdom included Bengal and Bihar, which included major cities of Patliputra, Vikrampura, Mungir, or Tamralipti. So basically these are the areas which are coming under the region of Pala kingdom, and you can directly say that most of the eastern side were controlled by the Palas at that time. Palas were followers of Mahayana Buddhism and Tantric school of Buddhism. So basically all these particular things are also being started at that time, and they were the followers of Mahayana Buddhism. I hope you remember that Buddhism is of basically two types. Basically, if we go into that, so you will find different sects as well. But basically, it is divided into two types, Hinian and Mahayana. So Palas were the followers of Mahayana Buddhism and Tantric schools of Buddhism. So that was the Buddhism, and that was the starting of Pala dynasty. Let's read further some of the important rulers of Palas. So first one was Gopala around 750 AD, according to the Khalimpur copper inscription of Dharampal. He established the Pala dynasty, which succeeded the subsequent Guptas of Magad and Kadga dynasties. Built famous Odantpuri monastery of Bihar at Bihar, second largest after Nalanda University. So if we talk about him, so according to the Khalimpur copper inscription, so whatever we are getting to know, we got to know about these particular kingdoms that are remaining at that time and the kings who are ruling at that time, we come to know about them from basically from the inscriptions that were created. And most of the inscriptions of that time were created either on stones or on copper plates. So we get to know about Gopal from a copper inscription of Dharampal, and in that it is being said that particularly they controlled the subsequent Guptas of Magad. That means a part of Guptas that were at that time that were remained. And they also created Odantpuri monastery at Bihar, that is the second largest after Nalanda University. Then comes the Dharampal, 770 to 810 AD, and defeated by Rashtrakuta king Dhruva and Pratihar king Nagbhat II. So basically, he was the one who got defeated from both of them, and we started Vikramshila University was founded near Bhagalpur, Bihar, while the Somapuri monastery was erected at Paharpur, Bihar, revived Nalanda University. So I hope you remember that Nalanda University was basically created by Kumargupta first. Remember that first of all. And then the other thing is Vikramshila University, very important. Vikramshila University was founded near Bhagalpur. Today, if you go to Bhagalpur, you will find Vikramshila Dolphin Sanctuary as well, Gangetic Dolphin Sanctuary as well in Bhagalpur, Bihar. And apart from that, if we talk about Dharampal, so he was the one who got defeated from both of the dynasties. One is the Rashtrakuta and other one is the Pratihars. Then comes Devpal. So Devpal was from 810 to 850 and expanded his empire in the east and included Assam. So basically, here the goal was to control the Kannauj, but basically Devpal started expanding towards east as well, and that is why he got the control of Assam. His inscription proclaims his victory over Hunas, Gurjars, and Dravidas. So particular inscription says that he was able to win against Hunas. Hunas were the same who were trying to invade India at the time of Gupta Empire also, and Gurjars and Dravidas. Then Vajradatt, the author of Lokesh Vara Sataka, and a Buddhist scholar was in his court. So these are the people who were part of his court. Then let's read about the Palas and Pratihars administration first of all. So the regions immediately managed were split into Bhukti, that is provinces, and Mandala or Visaya, that is districts. So basically, provinces, if you want to understand what is a province, so province is a kind of that we have a state in today's present day in India. So at that time, provinces were created, and in provinces there were different mandals, and mandals or Visaya were called as districts. So that was the classification of the regions. Then Uparika, the governor of Bhukti, was responsible for collecting land income and maintaining peace and order. So you can understand it like this, that Uparika was a kind of a chief minister of that time of the state of the area called Bhukti. The head of Visaya was Visayapati and had some duties like Uparika within their territories. So head of Visaya was Visayapati. You can understand him like the district magistrate or the IS officer in today's world who particularly take control of any district. So Visayapati was the IS officer of Visayas at that time. The smaller unit below the Visaya was Patala. So way below district there was also a particular region called Patala. And Bhogapatis or Samantas were small chieftains dominated villages. So basically that is the village areas that were dominated by small chieftains. Then comes Rashtrakutas, and Rashtrakutas in Deccan, they remained from 752 to 973 CE. Then Dantidurg was the founder of the kingdom. Rashtrakutas meaning the chief of a Rashtra. They considered as a feudatory of the Chalukyas. Chalukyas, I hope you remember, Chalukya's famous king was Pulkeshin II, who controlled Harshvardhan when Harshvardhan was trying to expand his empire. And if we talk about Dantidurg, so Dantidurg was the founder of this particular kingdom called the Rashtrakutas. So if you forget anything, do not worry, but just remember one thing, that who was the founder of which dynasty. Like if we talk about Rashtrakutas, that was founded by Dantidurg. Pala was founded by Gopala. And if we talk about the first one, that was Gurjar Pratihar. So I hope you remember that was founded by Harichandra and also known as Harishchandra. Okay. So basically, these are the things that you can remember from all of them. Then their capital was Manyakheta or Malkhed near Solapur. That is in today's world. You can see this place in Maharashtra. So this was the place or the capital of Rashtrakutas. Rashtrakutas were continually at odds with the eastern Chalukyas of Vengi and Palwas of Kanchi and the Pandyas of Madurai. So basically, we can understand from this that Chalukyas were basically divided into two parts, and eastern Chalukyas of Vengi were in dispute with Rashtrakutas. Along with that, Pallavas of Kanchi and Pandyas of Madurai were also in dispute with the Rashtrakutas. So that is why you can understand that Rashtrakutas were trying to expand towards northern side of this subcontinent. So that was Rashtrakuta. Let's read further. Important rulers of it. So first one was Danti Durg, that was from 753 to 756, and feudatory of the Chalukyan king Kirti Varman II, and founded Rashtrakuta kingdom in 753 AD. So basically, feudatory of Chalukya king means basically when Chalukyas were controlling these regions. So at that time, there were a lot of different type of feudal states created under them so that they can control each region. Now, as soon as this was the time of the medieval history also and modern history as well, as soon as a particular large kingdom gets weakened, the feudal states started creating their own empire. That is why this word is written here, that feudatory of the Chalukyan king Kirtivarman II. I hope this point is clear to all of you. Now founded the Rashtrakuta kingdom in 753 AD. Then comes the Krishna one, very important one, guys. This is really important. Many times a question has been asked from him. So what is the name? Krishna 1, 756 to 774. He expanded his dominion to cover present-day Karnataka and Konkan. So Konkan, I hope you know, is the region of Maharashtra and Goa these days. Then Pallavas was dealt the ultimate blow, and during his reign, the rock-cut Kailashnath Shiv temple at Ellora caves was created. So I hope you know about the Kailash temple in Maharashtra. That is a famous temple that was a monolith temple first of all, and it was created upside down and carved out from a single mountain piece, and that too in a very symmetrical way. That is why it is an UNESCO World Heritage Site as well, and we always it always amazed the people that how at that time and what type of tools they had that they created that kind of temple. So that was created by Krishna 1. Always remember that this question had been asked so many times in exams. Then comes the Dhruva. So Dhruva was from 780 to 793, and he led successful expeditions to Kannauj, defeated the Nagbhat II Pratihars and Dharampal, that is from Palas. Then comes the Amogh Varsha 1, that is from 814 to 878, called as Ashok of the South, and also compared to the Gupta king Vikram Aditya. Who was Vikram Aditya? Vikram Aditya was the name of Chandragupta II, because Chandragupta II was basically adopted this name Vikram Aditya. Then built new capital city at Manyakhet, and that is basically called a modern Malkhed. Then defeated the eastern Chalukyas while maintaining amicable relations with the neighbors. He wrote Kaviraj Marg, that is in Kannada, and Prashnotra Ratna Malika, that was in Sanskrit. Remember these two books. And he was the follower of Jainism. So do remember the name Amogh Varsh 1. And there are a lot of things that you need to learn about him. Like his was known as the Ashok of South. Capital city was Manakhet, and defeated the eastern Chalukyas while maintaining amicable relations with the neighbors. And some of his books that he wrote in those times. Now let's read about some of the art and architectures during that time that were created. So architecture reached a milestone in the Dravidian style, and the finest example of which is seen in the Kailashnath temple at Ellora in modern Maharashtra. So I already told you. So and remember one thing, that was built by Krishna 1, and a monolith temple it is, and it is carved out from a mountain from upside down, not from it was not being constructed from base towards upside, but from upside down. It was created. Then other important contributions are the Kashi Vishwanath temple and the Jain Narayan temple at Patadkal in modern Karnataka, both of which are UNESCO World Heritage Sites. So some of the other temples like Kashi Vishwanath and Jain Narayan temples are in Karnataka and are under the UNESCO World Heritage Sites. The great Brahmasa poet, that is Swayambhu, and his son lived in Rashtrakuta court. So that was during the time, and these are some of the famous art and architectures. So I hope it is all clear, and here you can see the temples of those times that were created. Let's read further. So today another thing that we are going to discuss is the literature of that time. So some of the books that are really important of that time were Kavi Rahasya, that was from Hala Yudh, Paras Va Budhya, that was written by Jina Sen, Adi Purana, written by Jina Sen, Amoga Vriti, written by Sakka Tayana. Then Ganita Saram was written by Viracharya. Nala Champu was written by Trivikaram Bhatt, and Vikramasena Vijaya was written by Pampa, and Santi Purana was written by Pona. So these are some of the really important books of South India as well. So sometimes if you are going to take the exams other than which are goes into the category of UPSC and other than that, so that will these type of books will help you, because these type of questions may be asked in your those type of exams importantly. But it is important for all of you, so do remember all these books and their writers. Then we talk about the administration of those times. So administration system throughout those empires was founded on the concepts and practices of the Gupta Empire, because just before these empires, the empire was Harshvardhan, and before Harshvardhan was also a kind of a feudatory empire created out of Guptas. And Guptas were the one who ruled for around 250 years, and they have created a system at those times. So most of the kingdoms that are coming further are following the administrative system of Guptas. The king was the head of the government as well as the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. He also served as a judge. So these are the particular positions that are given to the king. The king was assisted by a number of ministers, generally from leading families, and their position was hereditary. That means particularly after the father, their son became come on the same position. So that is why they are coming from the leading families of those times who have close relations with the king. The empires consisted of areas administered directly and areas ruled by vassals. The latter had autonomy in internal affairs. The directly administered territories were divided into Rashtra, that is province, and Visaya, districts, and Bhukti. So I already told you that in southern India they were called Rashtra, but in Palas and in Gurjar Pratihar they were called Bhukti, and Visaya I already told you was called district. Then the head of Rashtra was Rashtrapati and had similar functions as the Uparaika performed in Pala and Pratihars. Village was the smallest unit. The village headman carried out duties with the help of Grama Mahajana or Grama Mahatra, village elders. Villages also had committees in charge of schools, tanks, temples, and so forth. Kostapala or Kotwal was in charge of law and order in the towns and surrounding territories. The hereditary revenue officers were known as Nad Gavundas or Desa Grama Kutas. So these are some of the revenue officers that were appointed at that time, and that too working on the hereditary system. So we can understand from all these points that hereditary is a kind of a thing that was prevailing in those kingdoms like Gurjar Pratihars, Rashtrakutas, and Palas, because most of the positions were controlled by the hereditary people. So that is all about the administration. Let's read further. Now let's read about the rise of Rajputs. So basically we all know that tripartite struggle ended somewhere around 1000 and 1100 AD, around between that. And this is also the time that during the 9th century, 10th century, that Rajputs were also being raised and rose to the prominent positions and those times. So let's read about them as well. So first one was the after Harsha's death, 647 AD, the and disintegration of Pratihar Empire, many Rajput states emerged in Rajasthan and Indus Plain. The Gadwals of Kannauj, Parmars of Malwa, and Chauhans of Ajmer were the prominent Rajput rulers. So if we talk about the particular thing, so Harshvardhan died in 647 AD, I already told you, and disintegration of Pratihar Empire, many Rajput states emerged in Rajasthan and Indus Plain. And Gadwahals of Kannauj basically were the same who will got into a kind of a fight with the Chauhans of Ajmer, and that was a kind of a fight that started between Jayachandra and Prithviraj Chauhan III. And on the other side we have Parmars of Malwa as well. So Parmars were ruling in the Malwas, and these are the prominent Rajput rulers of those times. The Rajput always insisted that they were of the Kshatriya caste and they were divided into clans. So there were different type of clans like the Agni Kul and these type of things were there at those times, and they were all from Kshatriya caste, but they were of different clans, as I was telling you, Agni Kul and all. So do remember all these things regarding them, and that is why that became one of the reason of a kind of a dispute between them. So let's read further about them, guys, and some of the other things regarding the Rajputs of those times. So Rajput kings belonged to ordered family, which connected them with either the sun family, Suryavanshi, and or a moon family, Chandravanshi, of ancient India, Indian kings. However, there were four clans who claimed that they had not descended from either of these two families, but rather from the fire family, that is Agnikul. Agnikul is a kind of a family that was created by says Vasisht. So says Vasisht was particularly in dispute with the lot of you can say Rakshasas of those times, and what we can call them is the Asurs. So basically, to fight the Asur, Rishi Vasisht was particularly doing a ritual, that is he was worshipping the Agni, and from Agni particularly four different type of clans came out like Chauhans and Solankis and all these people. So that is why some four clans were basically known as the Agnikul. So that is why there is a three type of clans, basically Suryavanshi, Chandravanshi and the Agnikul. Let's read about these clans more. So four Agnikul clans established their powers in the western India and parts of central India. So Agnikuls were the one who particularly controlled most of these regions of Rajputs. Pratihars ruled in the region of Kannauj, one of them. So Pratihars were the Agnikul clan, was the Agnikul clan. Then Chauhans, the Chauhans were strong in central Rajasthan. Prithviraj Chauhan III was from them. Then Solanki power rose in the region of Kathiawar and the surrounding areas. Solankis were the same against whom Muhammad Ghori fought a war but lost to Naiki Devi, that was from Solankis. And Pawars. The Pawars established themselves in the region of Malwa with their capital at Dhar near Indore. So always remember which are the four clans of Agnikul. So four clans are Pratihars, Chauhans, Solankis and Pawars. Besides, some other minor rulers also became powerful and gradually built small kingdoms in various parts of northern India. For example, Nepal, Kamrup in Assam, Kashmir, Utkal in Odisha. Many of the hill states of Punjab also developed during the early phase of medieval period, such as Champaka or Chamba, famously known as Chamba, Durgara, Jammu, or Kullu in Himachal. So these are some of the places which are particularly called as the areas where the prominent rulers of Rajputs controlled. And Champaka, that is Chamba, Durgara, that is Jammu, Kuluta as Kullu in Himachal. So these are the places that were under the control of these particular people. And do remember who were famously called the Agnikul? So Pratihars, Chauhans, Solankis, and Pawars. Let's read further about these clans. So some other worth noted kingdoms of central India, contemporary or to the Rajputs were. So Chandelas in Bundelkhand, Guhilas in Mewar to the south of the Chauhans, Tomars in Haryana and the Delhi region. Tomar dynasty is one of the dynasty that is also being honored first to create the Agra fort. Though Agra fort at that time was not in the same position as we find it in today, because today's Agra fort was basically constructed by Akbar and later by Jahangir. But you can understand that the base of that Agra fort was basically established by the Tomars. Guhilas in Mewar and to the south of the Chauhans were the first kind of dynasty that was founded in the place of Mewar, or also known as Chittor. So remember that. And Chandelas are from Bundelkhand region, that are also really important. Over a period of time, the Chauhans defeated the Tomars and annexed their kingdoms. That is why you will find that Chauhans were basically controlling the region of Ajmer and Delhi as well. So Prithviraj III, the prince of Chauhan dynasty, was the most powerful king of that period in northern India. Chand Bardai, the Hindi poet of his court, had written the famous epic poem Prithviraj Raso. So Chand Bardai was also a close friend of Prithviraj Chauhan, and Prithviraj Raso was a famous story that tells about the biography of Prithviraj Chauhan III, and about his rule and about his all honor and what type of things he had done, and also about the particular sacrifice he gave, or a martyr that he achieved at that time while fighting against Muhammad Ghori, and how he killed Muhammad Ghori with the help of his tactics, in which he can just shoot an arrow with just listening the words. So that was all written in this book, that is Prithviraj Raso, and Chand Bardai was the one who wrote that book. Remember that. So important battles fought by Rajputs in those times. So the Rajputs led by Prithviraj Chauhan defeated Ghurids led by Muhammad Ghori in the first battle of Tarain in 1191. In 1192, Muhammad Ghori defeated and killed Prithviraj in the second battle of Tarain. In the battle of Chandavar, Jaichand was defeated by Muhammad Ghori in 1194. So let me tell you a bit about it now. So out of all the things that we have learned so far, these are the three very important battles happened in those times. 1191, the first battle of Tarain. In this battle, Muhammad Ghori was basically defeated by Prithviraj Chauhan. So we have heard these stories a lot, that Muhammad Ghori was defeated 16 times by Prithviraj Chauhan III. And these were called small skirmishes which happened between them. But the first important battle that was fought in those times was the first battle of Tarain, and in 1191, and that was fought between Prithviraj Chauhan III and Muhammad Ghori. And Prithviraj Chauhan III particularly defeated Ghori in this battle, but let Ghori live. Then Ghori came back in 1192 with all his force and attacked once again. But in this battle, he defeated Prithviraj Chauhan III, and it is a subject of debate that if Prithviraj Chauhan was killed or not, and if the things happened according to Prithviraj Raso, or Prithviraj Chauhan was again embarked on the throne by Ghori of Ajmer, but later removed. So that is all kind of a debate, but we can understand this all thing that Prithviraj Chauhan was basically defeated, but was defeated with false things or forced things. Remember that as well. So that all happened during the second battle of Tarain. And now in the battle of Chandavar, Jaichand was defeated by Muhammad Ghori in 1194. So that happened basically in 1194, and Jaichand was defeated by Muhammad Ghori. So Jaichand was, you can say, the father-in-law of Prithviraj Chauhan III, and he was the one who particularly betrayed Prithviraj Chauhan during the Second Battle of Tarain and helped Muhammad Ghori. But later, Muhammad Ghori defeated Jaichand as well, and this is how Muhammad Ghori established his empire in the central and northern region of India, and then particularly appointed his four slaves, the Kutubuddin Aibak, the Bakhtiyar Khilji, the Yildiz, and the Kubacha, to establish the empire in the northern, in the western to eastern side of India. So that was a story about all these fights that happened in those times, and this is all about Prithviraj Chauhan and the other Rajput clans. Let's read further. So, cause of the decline of Rajputs. Let's read that why the Rajputs in those times were defeated. So first is the feudal system proved fatal for Rajput kingdom. So as I was telling you earlier also, that if the kingdom is large, so the king appoints some feudal states, and these feudal states are basically governed by the governors. As we have already read that provinces are basically controlled by some governors. So sometimes what happens is that these feudal states betray their own king and help the particular enemy. So that became one of the reasons that why these feudal states became fatal for the kingdom. Turkish invasion weakened Rajput states. So in those times, the Turkish invasions that were happening after 1001 AD, as soon as Mahmud Ghazni started attacking, so they were attacking with new type of technology. They were fighting with new type of technology and new type of war tactics they were using. But in the Indian subcontinent, the kings were fighting in the similar way, and they are also obeying the way or the tactics of fighting between two kingdoms, that after sunset they will not fight and all those things. But we all know that Turkish invaders who are coming, they are not following any kind of rules, and they will attack anytime, and they will take the advantage of any time. A stringent caste system does not allow people from lower caste to join the army of Rajput state. So that is another big issue in those times, that there was a caste dispute between the lower people and the upper people according to them, and they did not allow the lower caste to join the army. Rajput states were engaged in constant war against each other for power, which led to the wastage of their resources. As I was telling you earlier also, that they fight for Kannauj for almost 350 years. That led to just one thing, that their treasures became empty and their stars became weakened. But they keep on fighting, and at last it gave the passage to the Turkish invaders to enter into the territory and starts controlling these areas. So that was happening in those times. Now, Indian feudalism, let's start reading about it also, very important guys. So early Pali text gave us a glimpse of such feudal policies as the Brahmadya in pre-Mauryan periods. Brahmadya in pre-Mauryan periods. The Guptas and the Kushan played a major role in the introduction and practice of feudalism in India. As I was telling you earlier also, whenever a kingdom is of large extension, then feudal system is the most important thing that the king will implement, because without feudal system the things cannot be controlled. Feudal system in today's world is known as the federalism. You can compare it like this. Feudalism was a dominant social system in the medieval times. In this system, the nobility held lands from the crowns in exchange of military service, and vassals were in turn tenants of the nobles, while the peasants were obliged to live on their lord's land and give him homage, labor, and a share of the produce in exchange for military protection. So that was all done under the feudal system, and I already told you that feudal system is a kind of a thing that were granted to the nobles and officers of king, and they particularly take control of all these areas. They will collect the revenue, and in terms of that they will just give the loyalty to the king. So that was basically the idea of feudalism in those times. So that is all about it. Let's read the factors for the rise of feudalism. So first one, in ancient India, feudalism were largely absent. Land grants were usually for Buddhist monks only. So in ancient times, feudalism, we did not see any kind of feudalism in those times, but only for Buddhist monks the lands were granted. Then during the Gupta dynasty, feudal lords became supremely independent, and central authority had absolute no interference in the affairs and functioning of the feudal regimes, and that is why we can understand that these feudal states later became their own kingdom. In the 2nd century AD, hereditary rights and civil jurisdiction powers were also transferred to the feudal. Indian feudalism rose during the advent of the 7th century, when in place of cash, land grants intensified and took its final shape during 9th to 12th century AD. So if we talk about the feudal system, so particularly earlier, the feudal system, the feudal states are being granted on the basis of capability or efficiency, but later it became a hereditary thing. Other than that, the civil jurisdiction powers were also transferred to them. Other than that, this was a time when feudalism was basically being advent in the 7th century, but later it became a very important part of the large kingdoms. Feudal rise was accompanied by various dimensions of distinctions, most importantly being the fourth dimensional zones of feudal distinction. These are Northwest, that is Gurjar Pratihar, Bengal and Bihar, Palas, Deccan, Rashtrakutas, and feudatories of southern states. So this is how particularly the different type of zones and dimensions were created under the feudal states, and that is why a lot of different type of kingdoms were rose at those particular times. Let's read more about it. So impact of the rise of feudalism. So disintegration and balkanization of states gave rise to fall of the central authority. What is the meaning of balkanization? So when a large number of area being controlled by different particular feudal states, and they starts creating their own laws and their own things, and they start controlling their land in an independent way, that is called basically the balkanization. And that became one of the reasons that large empires become disintegrated and finally falls into the ashes. So that is why the central authority failed, and that is one of the reason, and that is the one of the impact of feudalism. Then rise of the small authoritarian states, as I was saying earlier also. Hereditary administrative status, that is the big issue, that all the feudal states in those times were being created on the basis of hereditary. That means if you are capable or not, you are given the state because you are coming from a one heredity. So that is why this becomes one of the reason of fall of feudalism. Then decentralization. Samantas were given land instead of salary, and they continued to own the territory, calling themselves vassals of the rulers. So they are also gaining kind of a sovereignty, and they are also getting a lot of power in their hand. Then regressive taxation system was also basically started, because the central authority is working as a king is working in the central authority, but in the regional level, in the feudal states, the particular person who is the head of the feudal state will taking a kind of a regressive taxations in those times. So let's read about it. So manorial system. So landowners grant land to an individual who performs a variety of services, including working on the lord's land in exchange for the land. After the independence in the 1960s, land reforms and the abolition of private wallets ended the feudal system and helped in the upliftment of the weaker section. So basically, the landowners, what they do is they particularly grant the land to the peasants, and all the labor and all the hard work will be done by these peasants and farmers, and they will submit the tax and the revenue to the landowners, and they will only get a part of it that will not even help them in sustaining in this life. So that is why this particular type of regressive system was also became one of the reasons of the fall of feudalism in those times. And later in 1960s, finally after independence, this whole system was vanished, and zamindari system was already vanished in 1951 during the first amendment that was done in 1951. Ninth schedule was added, we already know, and later the whole this system was vanished from our country. So I hope you get to know a lot of things related to the early starting phase of medieval history, that how and what became the reason that the Turkish invaders, Arab invaders, and other Muslim rulers started intervening into our territory, and what were the reasons behind all of that. So I hope this all point is clear, And we will see each other in the next session, in which we will discuss more about these kings and what they had done. And till the time we meet, bye bye, take care everyone, and see you soon.